I dislike what Giannis is doing right now. He tries to come across as upstanding, but all that's happened here is he's taken all of the upside and he's not willing to accept any of the downside. So let's look at the latest phase of his career. On October 23rd, 2023, Giannis signs a 3 year, $186 million extension. This was right after the Milwaukee Bucks acquired Damian Lillard in a trade. To acquire Lillard, they included Jrue Holiday, their 2029 first round draft pick unprotected, and then the swap rights to their 2028 and 2030 first, also unprotected. So here, trading away a valuable asset in his own right in Jrue Holiday, but then also mortgaging their future. And at the time of this trade, Giannis is satisfied. So here we have two quotes. But at the end of the day, I want to be a Milwaukee Buck for the rest of my career as long as we are winning. It's as simple as that. Definitely, I feel like the team has shown they're committed to winning a championship, so I'm happy. So, again, this last quote, I feel like the team has shown they're committed to winning a championship, so I'm happy. Let's go through one other quote, and this is in reference to Damian Lillard. It's a blessing to have opportunity to play with a guy like that, a guy that is built from the same cloth as you, a guy that is a killer. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. He's been good for so many years in the league, dominating the league, and having a guy like that you can go to war every single day that wants it as bad as you want. It's always a good feeling. But being with him, we have a chance. We have a legit chance to do something great here. And I'm excited for what the future holds. So he's not only satisfied, he is enthusiastic about this trade and really likes the acquisition of Damian Lillard. So again, he's here for the prospect of winning a championship. He's here for all the upside. But now that the trade has gone awry, he doesn't want to stay for the downside. And let's keep in mind that he signed this contract extension that keeps him with the Bucks until at least 2026, 2027. So he's under contract for two more full seasons and then he has the player option for 2027 and 2028. So the problem I have is that Giannis signs this extension. He gets all of the upside of this is guaranteed money even if I suffer a career-ending injury, I will still get paid all of this money. He also has the upside of the potential of Damian Lillard working out and then the Bucks are championship contenders or they win a championship. He also has that upside. But now that the trade has gone awry, Giannis is done with the Bucks and he's ready to move on. And at this point, the Bucks have mortgaged their future on the trade. So the Bucks have no prospects going forward. Giannis is ready to discard them and move on. I think that's completely unfair. And of course, we've seen this on the contract side. We've seen this with so many superstars. They're ready to sign right away and lock in the max money, but then they also want the option of demanding a trade out from that team. So they're taking the security, they're taking the long term money, they're taking the max money, but they also want to take along with that the ability to go to another team because they've decided they no longer want to be with the trade with the team they signed with. So here we have really two things going on with Giannis that I dislike on his end. He wants to come across as upstanding, but you got the upside here. That's the problem. You took all of the upside, and now you are leaving the Bucks with all of the downside. And this trade predictably didn't work out, as many people were saying at the time the trade happened. You know, you have a post prime Damian Lillard. He's a small guard. He's 33 years old. He already doesn't play defense. You're trading away your defensive ace. And now he's been injured. It doesn't work out. And now here's the situation. So it's just unfair. And it wasn't, the Bucks did everything they could to satisfy Giannis. He did come across as he was very much satisfied with the trade, and now it doesn't work. And now he wants to force a trade. It's unfair. And when you take all the upside, but you don't take any of the downside, that is that is completely unfair. So I wanted to cover this What I also wanted to cover was Victor Wembanyama. And specifically, I want to talk about his MVP odds because I think, depending on the odds you get, Victor is a very good value. One reason I think he's a good value is because if we look at his career, in his first season, he only played 71 games and his minutes were limited to 29.7. So that's with Greg Popovich. That's with the Spurs tanking. And here he still had a really good season, right? You see what did he average? 3.6 blocks, 10.6 rebounds. Let's see here. I'm trying to look for his points per game. 21.4 points. Then in his second season, we have him. He has the condition, I forget what it's called, but he has to sit out the remainder of the season. He only plays 46 total games. He averages 33.2 minutes. Here we see him scoring 24.3 points with 3.8 blocks. And he is, Victor is going already. We see the offseason work he's put in. He is visibly stronger and it's easy. So many people are expecting him to have a big year. He is the center of everything the Spurs do. If he's able to play 34 plus minutes a game, then he's going to put up huge stats. The other part of this is the Spurs are very likely going to be better than is expected. Why do I say that? Because we have an artificial suppression here for different reasons in his first 2 years. So the Spurs they come across as a team that like might be in the playoffs. Well, they are very talented now. They just added Dylan Harper. They already traded for De'Aaron Fox, and you have Stephen Castle, who was the rookie of the year, is going to be even better now with his first year of experience. And then here you have Victor getting better in the offseason. Everything trending towards the Spurs really getting better. I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs are in the second round of the playoffs, threatening to reach the conference finals. Victor is going to take this step. And when we look at the odds, let's look at the different odds here. Here we have Victor as plus 1600, so a 16 to 1, um, at 16 to 1 odds to win the MVP. And then ESPN has Victor at plus 1200. So the line moved recently. When I thought about this segment, the line was at 16 to 1. But today or yesterday, Zach Lowe's podcast talked about the Spurs prospects. And I think that may have moved the line because people are starting to pick up on the fact that the Spurs are real. They're going to be a real team this year. And I've expected a lot from them the past 2 seasons. But now, if there's no Victor health condition, if we don't have Greg Popovich tanking and limiting his minutes, we're going to see that spring forward, and we're also going to have his offseason work help catapult that even further than it would have been otherwise. So let's look at one more set of odds. This is from Vegas Insider. Here we have plus 1800. So if you can get plus 1800, just on its face, that's a good value because we see other odds at plus 1200. But he's someone who's going to dominate both the offense and defensive side. He's very easily going to win Defensive Player of the Year. So there's just so much upside with Victor. He's going to put up stats. He's going to be right there with Jokic in terms of fantasy stats. So I see him as a very good value, and I think this season, I think he could very well win the MVP this season. I don't even think it's like a value. If you're asking me who's going to win MVP, it's probably between Jokic and Victor. You also have to consider the fact that Shea won last year. Jokic has won, I don't even know how many previous years. So there's also a good chance for that. But there's also the Spurs being better than people think they will be. What you have to remember, going back to Victor's basketball reference, the Spurs have been artificially suppressed. So we have 46 games from Victor last year, and then we have 71 from him the first year, but only playing 29.7 minutes, and with Greg Popovich openly tanking that year. So it comes across like the Spurs are more of a lighter team than they are. They're going to they're going to be able to play with the contenders in the West, especially when you have De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper and Steven Castle, and then of course, Jeremy Sohan and Devin Vassell there. I think they're better than people think they are as well. So you have a really talented Spurs team, and you have Victor Wembanyama at the center of it. He's going to put up a lot of stats. I think there's so much upside to taking an 18-1 on Victor winning the MVP.